Coming up on Tech News today is ice cream sandwich worth taking a bite of. We'll look at that and the Galaxy Nexus. Also, crazy stuff from Andy Rubin, Steve Ballmer, and Vic Gundotro. Which one is the craziest? All that and why silk is safe to use. Next on Tech News today.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Wednesday, October 19th, 2011. Tech News Today is brought to you by Ford, featuring Wi-Fi connectivity with available Sync and My Ford Touch. Now your car can be a Wi-Fi hotspot. Check it out in the new 2012 Ford Focus and at Ford.com/technology. And by Gazelle, the easy way to sell or recycle the used gadgets lying around your home or office. Don't just sell it, Gazelle it. Gazelle your used gadgets today at Gazelle.com. Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Sarah Lane.
I'm Iyaz Akhtar.
I'm Jason Howell.
And joining us with all of the Android-y news today, I'm very glad to have Kevin Purdy along with us.
Hey, Kevin.
How's it going,
Hello.
Kevin?
Thank you for having me.
What is the book that you're working on now?
The Google Plus, The Missing Manual, due out shortly after the holidays, I believe.
Excellent. So just in time for people who have Google Apps on the domain to take advantage of it. We'll get to that a little later in the show. But let's start with the ice cream sandwich Galaxy Nexus announcement from last night and or this morning, depending on where on the planet you're standing. The 4.65-inch HD Super AMOLED display was leaked like an hour before the announcement, so everybody knew about it. Yeah. 1.2 gigahertz dual-core processor, 5-megapixel rear camera with LED flash, not a great camera, 1.3 megapixel front-facing, 1080p video recording, though, NFC, Giga RAM, 32 gigabytes of internal storage, or 16, and 1750 milliamp hours battery. Available in both an LTE and an HSPA Plus version. Jason Howell was one of the crew covering the live announcement yesterday. What did you think of this stuff?
Well, I mean, you know, I pretty much had it in my mind that it would have to really, really suck for me to not end up getting it.
So you set the bar very low.
I did, but thankfully, on the other end, I was extremely impressed, and I am super stoked, super amped to get my hands on this phone. It's just seems like it's the right size for me. I'm a tall person. It's a little bit larger, and a lot of people kind of have a problem with the fact that it's a 4.65-inch screen. The screen needs to be a little bit larger, though, because Ice Cream Sandwich has on-screen controls. So
right, Ice Cream Sandwich is the union of tablet and handset operating system in one, so that bigger screen could take advantage of that a little better. Now, when you say you're tall, you mean it's a big phone, so you need big hands to hold it. It's not.
It all goes back to the pre-show discussion about being tall really sucks for a number of ways. This is just
so this phone will look to scale on you. With
exactly.
The 4.65-inch screen. It has an HD res. I was excited to see that. But it has a curved glass screen, right?
The screen.
It's a curved glass screen?
Yep, it's curved, similar to the Nexus S.
How does video look on a curved screen? I've always been curious about it.
It looked fine on the Nexus S. I mean,
it's not that curved.
Right.
Yeah, right. The photos always make it look more dramatic than when you're holding it.
And actually, the promo photo that Samsung released a couple of weeks ago when they made the initial announcement before the delay of the announcement really kind of accentuated it. It almost seemed like it over-accentuated.
Well, yeah, I was thinking there was a tablet hidden in the image.
Totally. Yeah, I wondered that, but obviously that was not the case.
It's funny how people really, it's like I've seen more comments about whether or not 5-megapixel camera is enough and whether 4.65 is too big for a screen.
Yeah.
Because, of course, they're both comparing it to the new iPhone. So it's like 4 inches is plenty. Anything bigger than that is just too big for most people. Obviously, that's just not true. It just depends on what kind of phone you're looking for, what kind of display you're going to be happy with. And I agree that if a camera has like an instant shutter and it works well and it's got a great sensor, 5 megapixels, takes really good pictures.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was one of the key things for me is I use my phone, it's always the camera that I have on me at any particular point. So I use it as a camera a lot. And they demonstrated the instant shutter, which anytime I hear zero shutter speed or zero time for the shutter to go off, I think, okay, zero, that's close to impossible. Who knows if it is zero or if it's just really close to it? All I know is the demonstration made it look like it was almost instantaneous.
It is an asymptote to zero. It's incredibly close.
Yeah.
Well, what's also nice is if you're taking pictures in rapid succession, it's supposedly supposed to autofocus. So it's like you could go crazy at a soccer game or something and have a lot of really nice pictures.
Well, yeah, and instant panoramas too. The built-in panorama shooting, so that and it guides you. It doesn't just kind of say like, "Hey, shoot everywhere," and we'll put together a really blocky panoramic. It shows you kind of like how you should be moving your camera across a horizontal line.
Let's move into some of the ice cream sandwich functions, because that zero shutter is really more of a software thing than a hardware thing. Ice cream sandwich also bringing some new stuff to the Android operating system. One did not go so well in the demo. Demo fails are pretty common in conferences. Face unlock was kind of losing face for Android folks yesterday. It did not work. But Andy Rubin made it work later at the Asia D conference. And the idea is you'll be able to steal someone's face and then unlock their phone. Yeah,
so instead of doing like a passcode or a number code or anything, you hold up the camera to your face or near your face.
Or your stolen face.
Or I guess, does it work with pictures? We don't know if a picture's there.
We don't know yet. But
like if you hold up a 2D picture and then you can actually unlock the phone. Andy Rubin made it work. You said that already. But it looks like it takes a couple seconds, right? Like, so why would you want to hold a camera like this for 1, 2, 3, and then it's going?
Personally, I don't. And if it's going to take 2 to 3 seconds, then I won't use it. I mean, for something like this to be totally useful, and it's kind of a new idea. It's not, they're by no means the very first to do this, but maybe in the phones, it's one of the first examples of this. It's got to work as close to what you're already used to. And if you're holding it, if you have to adjust it to be just the right spot to get the right detection, and it didn't work that time, so I've got to do it again, whatever, totally useless to me.
It feels like Siri in that it's going to take some social engineering before it becomes a really useful feature also. Something where you're going to have to get used to holding your phone up like that in front of your face. Just like Siri, you're going to have to kind of get used to talking to your phone like that. It's something that, like, first generation, novel idea, and possibly really, kind of interesting and breakthrough, but probably just a rough version at this point.
Yeah, whiz bang looks good in a demo if it works, but maybe not quite practical yet. But if they get it to where eventually it is quick and you just hold it up and it unlocks, that's pretty impressive.
Dr. Mom in chat was like, what happens if we wear makeup or don't wear makeup? I mean, I don't know how much your face can change before it's like, I don't know you anymore.
Somebody said, shave your beard, brick your phone. I thought that was kind of funny. But I mean,
don't let your evil identical twin get a hold of this phone.
I'm sure you can probably get around it. I mean, I know that when biometrics fail on like my old laptops, you could always put in your password at the end of the day. So
yeah,
I don't think it's going to be the only way to do unlock. That would be crazy.
Android Beam also coming to Ice Cream Sandwich, wirelessly transfer contact info between NFC phones with near-field communication chips, just like beaming on your Palm Pilot, now on Android.
It's like squirting for Zunes?
Or squirting.
They named it Beam. Much better name?
Thankfully, they didn't name it squirting.
Yeah, thankfully.
Because that's...
but this is like Bump on the iPhone. That's what it's mostly like. But Bump uses Bluetooth. This uses NFC.
Doesn't it do more than just contacts? It does like applications and things you can share?
Videos
Jason?
and photos they showed.
Yeah, that seems really...
Yeah, exactly. If you have an application and you're with someone, you want to beam that application to them, it'll take them to the Android market for that app.
People app enables you to browse friends, family, and coworkers' photos while peeking their status updates from Google Plus, and keeps all their contact information together. So if I'm looking at Iyaz Akhtar in my phone, it'll show me his Twitter handle, his Google Plus, and all of that stuff together. That's a trend that we saw popularized by Windows Phone, and so Android is kind of adding it too. I think WebOS was the first operating system I saw to do this. And I like it. I think it's a good thing. I wish all the operating systems.
A lot of people were comparing it to Windows Phone because of the look. I mean, it looked like it
looks like tiles. Yeah.
And because even when Google redesigned Android Market, people say, "Hey, it looks like Windows Phone as well." It's a very similar look.
Is the new feature where if you're getting an incoming call and you can quickly send back a text message new? Because I love that.
That's a new one.
That is great.
New.
That also didn't work in the demo. So the idea is you get a phone call and you swipe from the bottom, and you can send the call right to voicemail, and then a text message will be sent to that person.
Yeah, and they've got there's some default, like in a meeting, can't talk now, but then you can add your own. I mean, when I'm on IM during the show all the time, people are always pinging me, and I'm like, live, live. So that would work really well on a phone as well. Neat feature.
Kevin, any of the other features in Ice Cream Sandwich? Because there's a ton of new features in here. Any others catch your eye particularly?
My favorite, and probably Adam Packer's favorite, the elimination mostly of the built-in menu button. If you look at the bottom, it's just the back button, the home button, and I think the search button, or maybe not.
So let's see here. If I can pull
well,
up an
on
example.
certain phones, I'm looking at the preview shots of the Razr, which we'll get to later. But yeah, at least on the Nexus, it looks like, with the on-screen buttons. And
Razr has
like
gingerbread, I think, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
Yeah, so that would be why.
4 buttons feels like too much for Android, for built-in buttons on every single phone. So yeah, there's just the app switcher, home button, and the back button, and menu. They're leaving it up to the the developers to come up with their own use of menu, or hide the menu somewhere in the upper tier. And having the menu button built into the phone was kind of an invitation for developers to hide really cool features of apps in the menu that most folks don't even realize is there. And so I'm really glad to see them kind of taking a Apple-esque approach to saying, like, no, here you can go back, you can go home, but you have to figure out how your own interface works. So a little inside baseball, but I just think that's really cool. I'm glad that they're kind of forcing developers to think about the flow of their apps.
Jason, what about you? What was your favorite things you saw?
Well, let's see here. I mean, I was really impressed with the fact that they finally brought in a little bit of sync into the browser. Finally, they actually, you know what? They just kind of improved the browser, and I'm very happy with that, because the stock browser is always kind of not a whole lot of fun to play with. Native screenshot functionality built in, which is something that people have been screaming for forever, and just really the changes that they made to the lock screen in general. Not just the automatic message reply if you miss a call, but the fact that you can launch right into a camera app straight from the lock screen, just the look of the lock screen. And overall, it's just very inviting to me. Like the UI and the kind of the graphical user interface of the old version of Android versus what we're seeing here, like this is way more inviting to me than what we already have. Maybe it's because it's new, I don't know, but I can't wait to get my hands on it.
So you are going to get this. This is going to be what you get.
Yeah.
The Galaxy Nexus.
That's
the Samsung Galaxy Nexus.
That's the next 2 years of my life right there.
That's the name of the new phone. Coming in November. They haven't given us an exact date or any prices, any carrier information, although they did say that Verizon will have the phone. This was not at the announcement. That they said later that Verizon would get the phone in the United States first, and then other carriers would follow later on.
So that was Samsung's talking about the Nexus on Facebook. I think Andy Rubin mentioned that NTT Docomo will have it in Japan. Those are the only 2 carriers that have been even named right now.
Yeah. Speaking of Andy Rubin, he had a busy day. Went over from the Samsung Google joint announcement to Asia D and went on stage and said some stuff. We'll get to that in a second. Vic Gundotra also talking here. He's the Google Plus guy here in San Francisco, saying Google Plus will soon support pseudonyms, moving away from strict real name ID policy. Which that is from a Twitter post. Who is that? Swift Stories, San Jose Mercury News reporter, posted that. So that seems like a huge reversal to just say, oh, we're just going to support pseudonyms. We're going to move away from that strict real name ID policy. I'm interested to see how they support it and what justification there would be for waiting this long to do it. Why wouldn't you just do it from the start?
Right. At this point, to say something so flippantly doesn't make sense. I want to know what the story is. I mean, I always figured that they would have to relent eventually about this.
And they said they wanted to. They just want to do it in the right way.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what the right way is either.
Anybody got any good ideas?
There's more of a quote. He just this is it. It's complicated to get this right. And
same stuff.
Without dramatically changing the atmosphere of Google's social network. So the thing is, they originally set out to have like an identity verification kind of system where you go, oh, I want to know where Sarah Lane is. Oh, look, that's Sarah Lane. This is the one place I'll check for that. And now to allow pseudonyms and other handles, I mean, you're not going to look at the profiles the same way for identity, I would think. That's what they're afraid of.
Well, because if you associate it with an email address, yeah, it's like now there are all sorts of profiles that people could make, but you could do that anyway. I don't see the big issue. I mean, I block people for spammy stuff on Google Plus already, so yeah, maybe there'll be more of that, but it's not as if I'm not already used to the way things work. I, for one, welcome our new pseudonym overlord.
Kevin, do you have any insight on this? He also announced that they would be getting Google Apps users will be getting Google Plus access in a few days, so that's coming very soon. But
Which
what
means
about
that Google Google Apps users will have to getting profiles, I guess, unless, like you guys are saying, that changes now because they're easing off this is an identity service angle and becoming more of a, this is a social service like any other. I think what Sarah said is interesting, though, because I wonder if part of what they were always trying to avoid was the ability to easily create 800 accounts and start, just juking people with, hey, I saw this terrible blog post about you, click this link. I wish that was the answer. I really hope that that's still kind of a big thing for them is keeping it so that it's still semi something where you're not going to just create 80 fake profiles just to, spam people or annoy people. But yeah, they had to give in eventually because, I mean, brands and companies are nothing if not pseudonyms. It'll be really interesting to see how it shakes out. I guess what they could do is say, well, you still have to use a real name and verify that with us, but you can use a pseudonym in public. So we'll stop you from creating 800 accounts because we're going to require a real name for every account, but then that account can have a pseudonym that the public sees. So if you want to be Dana or you want to be Dr. Kiki in public, you can still be that, but we have to know your real name on the back end somehow. They got to focus, I think, a little bit on just getting more users, more average users with their real names kind of into the service and comfortable with it. Pseudonyms will be nice, though. I guess it'll help for getting folks to follow brands and follow things they like. Meanwhile, back at the Asia D conference, Andy Rubin on stage throwing out all kinds of quotable lines. On the Kindle Fire, he said, I think it's fine for Google. It's Android. It adheres to the APIs of Android. So nothing really horrible there. On music, though, he said, I feel we are close. Some sort of music acquisition service, sales or subscription, quote, it will have a little twist. It won't be just selling 99-cent songs. What do you think that means?
Free chubby checker twist. Singles for all. Clearly.
Acquisition of double twist.
That is all it could possibly mean. You're right.
That's all. You guys are looking way too much into this.
Really good song.
It will have a little twist that will be $2.99. Not just 99 cents.
Right.
You kids like the rock and roll, right? That's what I actually say.
I want to see Andy Rubin do the twist now. Kevin, what do you think? What do you think they're going to end up with the music service? I mean, they still got to get EMI on board. They got to get all the majors on board to make this happen. Yeah. I think all my friends think that they're going to buy Spotify. Is that what they're up to?
I don't think so, but that's what everyone just assumes is the only way you could get a foothold now is just to buy out the rising tide before it even hits most people. Google, are you guys using Google Music on a day-to-day basis?
No,
I not at all.
I'm signed up.
Yeah.
I get their music all the time and emails about it, but I haven't used it since.
I'm signed up. So there's 3 no's and 1 I'm signed up. Yeah, they have to do something.
But
it would be really
it's not really because Google Music isn't cool. I think music is there's such a big shift going on with music right now that you'd have to spend a lot of time. It would be almost a full-time job to keep up on all the different music services and storage lockers and everything that we all have access to now.
Well, and
there's not much right now that ties Google Music to all your other Google services. I mean, I think there's some Google Plus integration, but really it's just it's a locker and a streaming locker, just like Amazon has. So you'd have to intentionally pick it over Amazon, over Spotify, et cetera.
I mean, I use Google Music almost every day, but I have an Android phone that I have it installed on, and that's where I use it almost every day on. So, if you guys have iPhones and there isn't a Google Music app, I mean, in my perspective, that means you don't have the awesomest part of it, which is to have all of your music mobile, I
believe you mean most awesome part.
Most awesome-ist.
Most awesome.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Back off.
It's that awesome.
Andy Rubin also said, I don't believe that your phone should be an assistant. Ooh, burn.
Yeah, no kidding.
Your phone is a tool for communicating. You shouldn't be communicating with the phone. You should be communicating with somebody on the other side of the phone.
What if you don't like other humans, Andy?
I don't ever use my phone to communicate with humans.
I prefer not to.
Yeah.
That's why I like that whole Android feature of sending a text message. Can't talk.
Yeah.
Or maybe Google's working on a PDA revival. That's what they're doing. They're like, you don't use your phone for that. You use this PDA.
Seems uncharacteristically like sour grapes.
What, because they had voice control first?
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, show don't tell. Make your next Android so great that it's true that we love contacting our friends because now with the new People app, it's so easy to tie them all together with Google Plus and Twitter. Show don't tell. There's no point in just saying, boy, Siri seems weird. I mean,
it's just a strange thing to say. you shouldn't be communicating with the phone. You should be communicating with someone on the other side of the phone. I mean, think about that. That is like what phones used to be.
Right.
Most of the time, we use our phones for everything but communicating with someone on the other side of the phone. They're little computers.
Yeah, and all this
it's
coverage
just a weird quote.
of the new Galaxy Nexus, we did not mention call quality once, nor did we talk about the form factor being held up to our ears.
More ergonomic.
We just don't think about it that way. And finally, Rubin reiterated that a Google-owned Motorola would operate, quote, at arm's length from the Android unit, and pretty much implied they just wanted Motorola for its patents, and they're going to let Motorola be Motorola. How much can we trust this? I have been at companies where units thought they were going to get an advantage because they were now owned by someone, and then they ended up, it's like, no, so what if Paul Allen owns the Seattle Supersonics and Tech TV? Tech TVers are still going to have to pay full price for Supersonics tickets or whatever.
We didn't get any, nothing good.
Well, how long was the Galaxy Nexus in the pipeline then? Because that would kind of be a test of that they put out their next Nexus phone on with Samsung instead of Motorola. But I guess that's probably been in the works for a little
probably
longer.
Plus, they still don't officially own Motorola yet, do they? I mean, that hasn't cleared.
No.
So,
and that statement could be made to make sure that their Android partners are not freaking out.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you want to say that Motorola still has to compete and everything, but I mean, there's a good chance that Motorola is going to get some benefits to this.
Yeah, we should mention, I forgot to mention, HTC is reviewing Ice Cream Sandwich and deciding when it will roll it out. Alan Mutrisi, SVP Portfolio and Product Management for Motorola, said the Droid Razr won't get Ice Cream Sandwich until early 2012. And, of course, Rubin said that other phones besides the Galaxy Nexus will get Ice Cream Sandwich a couple weeks after the Galaxy Nexus comes out. So, obviously, Motorola not getting preferential treatment here.
No, in fact, they're kind of at the back of the line, really.
Yeah, totally.
Is anybody going to get a Razr now after they saw this thing coming out in, a couple of weeks?
The Razr had like 2 hours of its day in the sun. Yeah. And now it's like, well, and then there's this other phone that everyone's really excited about, and it's not getting Ice Cream Sandwich till early next year.
And Verizon doesn't care because they got both of them.
Exactly.
Yeah. So they can let Samsung do all the marketing of the Galaxy Nexus, and they'll pour some money into the Droid Razr, sell a bunch of those. They'll rake it in. And Motorola's like, well, we're going to get bought by Google anyway. So
they'll like us eventually.
We're throwing out the spreadsheets. We don't care.
And Google's like, don't talk to us in the lunchroom. You're a different department.
Yeah, you're not allowed on campus, Motorola. All right, take a quick break. This episode of Tech News Today is brought to you by Ford. And one of the latest technologies for Ford Sync is My Ford Touch with Wi-Fi connectivity. This feature can turn your car into a rolling Wi-Fi hotspot. Imagine wireless internet for up to 5 devices with wheels. That's what you're getting. Establish an internet connection to the Wi-Fi hotspot by doing one of two things. You can either plug in a portable wireless access card. You got one of those USB cards you plug into a laptop already, you're done. You just plug that thing into your car. You can pick one up really cheap. Or if you have a BlackBerry, you can connect to the hotspot wirelessly via Bluetooth. Next, connect up to 5 Wi-Fi enabled devices. Of course, the driver should not do this. Not safe to go while you're actually driving, but the passengers all can. Laptops, phones, Zunes, anything you've got there in the backseat of the car that uses a Wi-Fi connection can then connect through the car. You're a rolling internet connection, and your passengers can access music, browse the internet, do all the things you do on the internet, and without an additional subscription or expense. All you got to do is pay for your service with that card that you can use elsewhere as well. All available on the new 2012 Ford Focus. You can learn more about this and other technologies Ford is bringing to vehicles at Ford.com/technology. They do a lot of advanced stuff in their cars. You want to see some of the most advanced technology stuff. We're not talking about, automated glove compartments. We're talking about real technology, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, sync, voice commands, all of that stuff. Go to Ford.com/technology. We thank them for their support of Tech News Today. Okay, let's play another round of stuff important people at companies say.
He said.
It's another round of he said, she said. Steve Ballmer, also talking at Web 2.0 here in San Francisco. Always quotable, but he got off some doozies here talking to John Battelle at the closing event of yesterday's Web 2.0. Ballmer told attendees that Nokia plans to launch new devices running Windows Phone next week at Nokia World. So he essentially confirmed what Nokia had been sort of coyly hinting at. Like, oh, yeah, they're coming next week.
Yeah, they're coming next week.
Also said that the Microsoft social strategy involves their core products like Xbox and Skype. They're just going to put social into the devices. But these are the least interesting of the things he said. Let's go around the horn with this one. You don't need to be a computer scientist to use a Windows phone, but I think you do to use Android.
What?
I mean, there's a lot of computer
What,
scientists
Steve
out
Ballmer?
there.
So hold on a second. So that means Jason
Is a
Howell,
computer
you must be-
scientist.
Are you a computer science major? Because you do have an Android phone.
I do have one. If I'm not, I'm probably eligible to become one.
You should probably just become a computer scientist.
Yeah.
According to
Probably
Steve
get my
One of the best.
certification now.
By
Yeah.
implication, since you can use an Android phone, you are in fact a computer scientist.
But wait a second, you've used Android tablets and multiple phones. Shouldn't
I'm
you be?
extremely talented.
He's multiply certified.
You should have multiple degrees in this.
I mean, obviously, what he meant was Windows Phone is for everybody, and Android phones are more for the geek
That's what
crowd.
he's trying to say.
But it's
Kevin,
again, it's a Ballmer.
Kevin
thing.
Purdy is a computer. Are you a computer scientist?
No, I was an English major. Sorry.
Just an Android user.
Yeah, it's just I managed to write a book about Android.
So you are a
without-
computer scientist. Okay.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
According to Steve Ballmer. What do you think? This is just more blowing smoke, right?
I tried to hook up a network printer to Windows 7 today, so I don't want to hear it from Ballmer about computer scientists. I mean, and his products. I mean, it's again. I don't think that. I think also Android. There's a lot of different variations on it, and some are geekier than others. I think you need to be a computer science dilettante to root your Android phone, but not to use it.
Yeah, I disagree with Ballmer, absolutely. It's not that difficult to use an Android phone. He also said, you ask any CEO who might have bought something before the market crashed in 2008, would you be glad that you didn't buy something? Hallelujah. Sometimes you get lucky. He was referring, of course, to Microsoft not purchasing Yahoo.
Well, I think he's being really honest. They're glad that they don't have to worry about what they're going to do with Yahoo now. That said, it sounds like it was like, we really wanted this company. We did. And then we just got lucky.
Thank
so we didn't really know what
goodness.
we were doing
We
at the
didn't know.
time.
We
3
were
years
so
ago.
drunk. It was late. We would have bought anybody that
was the last
night.
call.
Dodged a bullet that night.
Basically, it's a good thing there were no plane tickets available to Vegas at that time.
Right, exactly.
Then he did say, yeah, it's a great partner because, you know,
Well, he,
Bing
kinda-
pow-
he
powers
realized
Yahoo
all of a sudden
search.
what the headlines were going to be. He's
Yep.
like, but we love our continuing partnership with Bing, so we love that money. Thank you.
We like them as a friend.
Yeah.
You know, great personality.
Yahoo has a great personality.
But not a joint account.
All right. New piece of malware is out there pretty bad for Mac OS. Trojan downloader OSX/flashback.c, discovered by researchers at F-Secure. It's a variation on the Mac Trojan discovered in September, flashback.a, but this one's a little more nefarious because it disables Apple's automatic updating mechanism, XProtect. Apple added that back in 2009 as part of Snow Leopard. Ars Technica reported that what Flashback-C does is decrypts the path within XProtect Updater and then proceeds to unload the daemon, XProtect Updater. After that, the malware overwrites the files with an empty space, decimating key files that XProtect needs in order to receive regular updates from Apple. So, first of all, don't be clicking on any download Flash web prompts unless you're absolutely sure you're at a secure website. And then if you do end up getting taken by this somehow, there are a couple of ways to remove Flashback-C that are also detailed in this in F-Secure's page. And they got a link to it from the Ars Technica article. But essentially, you have to delete a few files located within Safari and Firefox's plist files, and you can roll it back. But it's difficult and pretty nasty because the way Apple's protecting themselves, the way everybody protects themselves, update definitions daily, and then you're protected from this. Pretty nasty.
It's pretty easy to avoid, though. I mean, if you have to update Flash, go to Adobe.com, or you could get something like Chrome, which has Flash built in, so you shouldn't be seeing anything saying, hey, your Flash is out of date when you're on Chrome. So just, I guess, be careful where you surf. I mean, it's
A lot of
something
people don't realize that, though, yeah. I mean, especially an OS X user who's been sold on the idea that I don't get viruses may not be thinking when they see that Flash update.
You're just like everybody else, OS X users.
Pretty much. That's a sad thing these days. Yeah, I mean, do you have any more thoughts on this, Kevin, before we move on?
It's just really, you could easily form conspiracy theories about software and websites that help you install Flash on a Mac causing a virus. You know, just reaffirms everything people who really hate Flash on Macs, what they think about Flash.
It's almost like a bad joke.
Yeah, pretty much.
When you put it that way, you're right. EFF has gotten some more information on how the Amazon Silk browser works, and this is actually good stuff. And EFF, in fact, itself is generally satisfied with Amazon's privacy policies for Silk. Remember, Silk's been under some scrutiny from congressmen who didn't understand what was already publicly known about Silk, but now we know more. Of course, we already knew you could turn off cloud acceleration mode. That's one of the most important things in protecting your privacy. But according to John Jenkins, director of Silk development, secure web page requests, SSL requests, are routed directly from the Kindle Fire and the Silk browser to the origin server and do not pass through Amazon's EC2 servers. That was the big question, is what do they do for SSL? Are they going to decrypt it? Are they going to provide some sort of man-in-the-middle type situation? But they don't. SSL will not be cloud accelerated. It'll pass directly to the secure server and never be decrypted. So you're good there. And they detailed more about what they log. They log 3 pieces of info per request: a URL, a timestamp, and a token that is a session-only token that expires in 30 days. All 3 of those things expire in 30 days. So you actually, they're not even logging all that much information. They're getting rid of it fast. Does satisfy people and their worries, concerns about Silk, do you think? Should people not worry after this?
I would think so.
It generally satisfies me.
Yeah, you feel satisfied.
I feel generally satisfied, just like the EFF.
Just like the EFF. I mean, the only things left is that if somebody did get a hold of this data that they store for 30 days, they might be able to uncover who you are by data stored in the URLs. And just the fact that this data exists might attract law enforcement. But
it's not as bad as when people didn't have any idea of how exactly Amazon was going to handle SSL. So, I mean, I think a lot of the stuff that Google's going to be doing is going to be SSL by default as well. So, I mean, all your searches and things Amazon won't even see that stuff. So it's kind of a nice thing that will allow people who are really security conscious to go to the Fire and go, this is fine. And even with the persistent connection with SPDY, unlike open Wi-Fi spots, that's more secure than if you were using like a regular browser.
Yeah, because the speedy connection is encrypted. I honestly look at this, and now I'm thinking, before I was thinking, you know what, I might just turn this off. I mean, it's nice to have faster web pages, but it probably won't be that bad. I just don't want to risk it. But looking at this, I'm like, well, I actually get a benefit by leaving it on. Because if I'm on an open Wi-Fi network, I'm encrypted, where I wouldn't be normally, and I'm still encrypted on SSL, which was my big worry. So I'm pretty happy that they.
You're generally satisfied.
I'm generally satisfied. I'm actually a little more than satisfied, I have to say. Let's move on to the news fuse. The Litro camera is now up for pre-order. It's the light field camera that you don't need to focus because you can change the focus using software later. There are 2 versions, an 8GB $399 model and a 16GB $499 model. The design is a little unusual. It looks like a rectangular bar, has very few controls, just a shutter and a zoom, but it's
well,
pretty
you don't really need much because you can fix it all in post.
Exactly. It's the definition of
I'm excited.
in post.
I thought it was going to, I don't know, I guess I thought it'd be more than this.
I thought it'd be huge or something.
Yeah,
like
or I thought, you know, it'd be like a $1,300 thing that I would just say, I'll never get that.
I'm psyched.
I'm kind of excited too. According to a study by Kleiner Perkins partner Mary Meeker, 81% of users of top websites are outside of the United States. These top websites include Google, Microsoft, Facebook, and Amazon. China has added more internet users in 3 years than exist in the United States. Those stats is part of a larger study on internet trends. China just doesn't even have access to Facebook.
Right. But they got all kinds of other social networks that kind of fill that gap, I guess.
I guess they're some of the top websites also.
The iPhone 4S is coming to a 4th U.S. carrier, but it's not T-Mobile. C-Spire, previously known as Cellular South, has confirmed with Engadget that the regional carrier will carry the iPhone 4S. On the front page of the C-Spire is a picture of the 4S with the words "coming soon." So if you want to find out, there's a sign-up page, and they'll notify you when it's ready.
I'm wondering if they're getting unlocked versions that are coming out in November, which is why they don't have it yet. Mm-hmm. They're just, and it's probably a legit deal with Apple, but they're just saying, you know what, you don't have to do anything special to it. Just will let us sell the unlocked versions to our customers.
Do you think they would have a subsidy as well?
They could put their own subsidy on it in that case, yeah.
I also like how much C-Spire sounds like ceasefire. The iPhone 4S, ceasefire.
Ending the carrier wars. It's earnings season, folks. That's why I'm pausing, because Earnings season is
Got to
glaze
take a
over.
beat before you get into earnings season talk.
exciting. eBay announced its Q3 results, and you probably were like, why do I care about eBay's Q3 results? It beat estimates with revenue up to 32% year over year, and net income was up by 18% for the same time period. And PayPal is the reason why. They helped drive eBay's revenue by gaining 14% more active users compared to Q3 2010. eBay was expected to earn $2.91 billion by analysts, wound up making $2.97 billion. So good job, eBay, in buying PayPal back in the day. It's floating you now.
Georgia Tech computer scientists say that accelerometers in phones can be used to capture keystrokes. A phone with an accelerometer placed on a desk with a keyboard can translate the vibrations with as much as 80% accuracy. Experiments with an iPhone 3GS weren't as accurate as the iPhone 4. The gyroscope in the iPhone 4 is credited for the better results. So if you're freaking out, you probably just want to move your phone away from anywhere you're typing.
No, this is a great market. You have like a giant suspension for your phone, so it's always like a shock mount.
I don't get it.
I just remember doing those stories in the early part of the 2000s about the big dish that they would set up outside, and they could read the magnetic variations in your keyboard and be able to track. Now you don't need this big van with a dish that obviously would look really suspicious. You just set down a phone.
That's crazy.
So be careful what you're downloading, I guess. Again, Kevin Rose announced details of Oink at the Web 2.0 Summit, a new service that will be used for checking in and rating things. So if you go to a stadium, you could rate a particular seat, and you say, this is a great seat. If you were at a bar, you could rate a beer. You'll be assigned a level to show your level of expertise. So right now, Oink is in closed beta and will launch in the coming weeks.
I've actually been lucky enough to be part of this beta, and it'll be interesting to see if the whole rate something besides food and drink catches on, because right now...
Airline seats.
Well, that would be good, right? But, I mean, that's the whole idea, is that it's not supposed to be another food spotting, or that sort of stuff works really well, like, this is great water, love this water, thumbs up kind of thing. So
That is good water.
well, it is good water, but I want a service that has more than just another food rating.
Certain blogs are saying Twitter user Jackoplane has found a way to make Siri work on all iOS 5 devices, and it works with Apple's servers. Jackoplane's Twitter account says, for a video, check with Josh M. Tucker. However, Josh's Twitter account hasn't posted any videos on Twitter, but he says that blogs are getting it wrong. Siri has only been working on an iPhone 4, and working in quotes. So it doesn't sound like we have anything new from what we told you the other day.
Siri also lets anyone send text messages and make calls even if an iPhone is locked, which is also something that the old iOS voice control settings allowed. It's not a new thing, but since a lot more people are using Siri than we're using the old voice control features, it's got some folks in a tizzy because they'd rather complain than get to know their settings options a little bit better. So I will do you the favor. Passcode lock settings and switch Siri to off. Tizzy out.
Oh, yeah, that'll stop people from complaining. Internet will be calm now. Okay, that's great. At BlackBerry DevCom, RIM showed off Android apps running on the playbook. Apps don't need to be recompiled, but repackaged. The Verge has a video showing off a 3D pool app that uses OpenGL, and it looked pretty smooth. Less intensive apps like Pulse and IMDb worked pretty well as well.
Time to crank up the randomizer.
Randomizer.
This one comes off our subreddit, technewstoday.reddit.com. ABC News reporting that DeLorean plans to make an electric car. There still is, in fact, a DeLorean Motor Company in Humble, Texas, which supplies parts and occasionally builds new cars for DeLorean enthusiasts. The car of the future has become the car of the future, joked James Espy, a vice president at DeLorean. And also, that's a tautology, I think. So far, said Espy, the company has retrofitted one car with an electric motor. So I guess they're just making more DeLoreans, but putting an electric motor in them?
Yeah, well,
Or using the same stainless steel DeLoreans that they originally had.
the whole idea is that you don't actually want to change the DeLorean, or there won't be that nostalgic quality that got Iyaz so excited yesterday. He was like, DeLorean, electric DeLorean, this is the best thing ever.
I think I was more curious because I was like, okay, wait, this is not the same DeLorean Motor Company.
No, these are built to order electric DeLoreans coming around 2013 for $90,000. But you're saying this is a different DeLorean
This is a different company.
It's just
Because
a company
they're not-
that sprung up later after DeLorean failed.
Because
Okay.
I think that guy took all the profits and snorted it up his nose. That was the whole issue with the whole DeLorean Motor
That
Company.
happens to motor executives a
Do
lot.
we care so much who makes it as long as it looks like the
They're
car
gonna
from
be
Back
using-
to the Future?
They're going to be using original parts if they can get it. That's the big thing. That's why they cost so much. And of course, all the jokes of there's no Mr. Fusion in it. That can't be powered by garbage. And it
Yeah,
doesn't
where's the
fly.
flux capacitor?
1.21.
Yeah.
We could just keep doing this all night.
Gigawatts. All right. Let's move on to the... Oh, wait. Actually, before we move on to the calendar, do you have any old gadgets to sell?
An old DeLorean.
Yeah, I have an iPhone 4.
iPhone
Man, is that
4.
old.
Jason, anything you're going to get rid of that Thunderbolt?
Well, that's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah. You might want to do it on our sponsor, Gazelle. Gazelle helping to bring you tech news today. You got gadgets, folks. This is the best, fastest, easiest way to get rid of your old gadgets. Go to gazelle.com. Type in the name of the gadget you're trying to get rid of. They will give you a quote. They'll ask you a few questions. Do you have the wires? Do you have the box? What condition is it in? All that stuff. Does it work? Does it turn on? Be honest about that stuff. They're going to check it when they get it. But once you answer the questions, they will tell you, okay, we can pay you this much money. If they can't pay any money, they'll actually still take it and recycle it responsibly for you. If they can pay you money or not, they're going to wipe all the data off it securely. So all you got to do is print out the mailing label, put it in a box, and mail it off to Gazelle, and they will give you, I don't know, $127 for a Thunderbolt 4G or something like that. So go check it out. Find out what you can get. They'll send it to you as PayPal. They'll send it to you as a check. You get a 5% bonus if you do it as an Amazon gift certificate. Go to gazelle.com and recycle your old gadgets today and get a little cash for it so you can buy your new gadgets. We love Gazelle, and we thank them for supporting Tech News Today. On to the calendar.
Ring.
That didn't play.
The PlayStation Vita is coming to the U.S., Canada, Latin America, and Europe on February 22nd. The 3G version will go for $299, Wi-Fi only for $249, so start saving your pennies now. Sprint has officially released info on the HTC Evo Design 4G. It's going to be available October 23rd, for $100. WiMAX capable device, GSM roaming, Gingerbread, HTC Sense UI. It's basically the Hero S, but with better international roaming. And finally, the Nintendo is launching Misty Pink 3DS handhelds. That's actually a color.
You laugh, Kevin?
It's not just pink, it's Misty Pink. So this is targeted at the ladies and guys who like pink. And I know you're out there. Iyaz likes pink.
Yeah,
you have cute pink shirts. Yeah, they're very, very flattering.
Well,
Ice White is another color that's coming on October 3rd.
All right.
Well, salmon is a different color than pink, Tom. Obviously, you don't know your Misty Pink.
I don't. Misty, not Mr., by the way.
Right. It's not Mr. Pink.
Let's check what's incoming.
Incoming message.
We got a caller who says he's found a bug in iOS 5, but I want to verify this. But let's go ahead and hear the voicemail.
AT&T show, love the show. Got a bug here for the iOS 5. It seems like, at least with the AT&T version of the iPhone, when you're updating all your apps over the air, it will hit a app that's over 20 megabytes, tell you it's over 20 megabytes, and cease updating all the other apps. In the prior version, it would just skip over and keep downloading. So a little bit annoying. I have to connect to iTunes and then download the app altogether. Anyway, add that to the list. Thanks again. Bye.
Well,
there are a bunch of little
annoying.
bugs. We're gonna give this a test right now and see if it happens to us too. I got 6 apps that I got to update. Hopefully, one of them's over.
This is only
20
supposed to
minutes.
happen on 3G,
Yeah.
right? Because that's where the limit is. The 20
Oh, yeah, I'd
megabyte
have to
thing.
turn off Wi-Fi.
I've seen-
I
gotta
don't even
turn
have
off-
any updates because I just did that.
I've seen
Oh.
other things about iOS
Too
5 that
responsible.
allows you
wait,
to do
no, I have
multiple
19.
downloads.
We're all far too efficient for this bug to work.
Yeah.
Updating
We're
apps.
usually on the
Exactly.
ball.
Boy, what a pain this is.
Just use Wi-Fi. All right, on to the email. Samuel in Pretoria, South Africa says, about the $100 in free apps that BlackBerry will be giving everyone, our BIS service costs 69 rands. That's about $8 here in South Africa, which equates to about 25 cents per day U.S. So getting $100, which is about 800 rands in apps, sounds like a good deal to me. Much better than giving us a couple months of free service because that would only give him 16 bucks. So he likes getting hundreds of dollars in apps. That's a good deal for him.
Next email from Tracy in New Orleans. Hello, TNT crew. In a recent show, you guys discussed the Forbes article regarding Apple wanting to buy Dropbox and Dropbox refusing to sell. After hearing that, I remember thinking, I heard this same story over a month ago. I couldn't figure out where, and then it hit me. Over a month ago, a TNT Reddit subscriber posted the same story, well ahead of Forbes, I might add. So I wanted to give kudos to this person and all the TNT Reddit people for scooping Forbes and posting great articles on a daily basis.
Check that out. And our mistake for not catching this early on, but it was reporting a rumor that was unconfirmed, and the difference is the Forbes article confirmed it with Houston from Dropbox. So there is a little difference in quality there, but yeah, good job, folks over there on the Reddit. Thanks to everybody actually on the Reddit who submits articles to us. We love you guys. It really helps us to figure out what to put in the show each day. I'm going to find some people to thank here. How about Cyanin, Grizzly82, Lazy on Taurus, Cheshu, L595, Rookie Jet 22, and more. 2,923 readers over there submitting stories and helping us to figure out what we want to talk about each day. We really appreciate it. TechNewsToday.reddit.com. Kevin Purdy, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today as well.
Thank you for having me.
Let folks know about your book, when it's coming out, and where they can follow you and find all the other stuff you do online.
Sure. I'm Kevin Purdy on Twitter. The book is coming out around the holidays, and it's a Google Plus The Missing Manual. So an inside-out guide to signing up, using, customizing Google Plus, avoiding 8,000 annoying notifications. It's from O'Reilly, and I'll have a link to it on my Twitter account very soon.
Cool. Thanks, man. Great having you on the show. Love having you along. And folks, thank you for joining us and watching or listening. Haven't hit a 20 megabyte download yet. So if you've had this problem as well, if you can corroborate our caller, give us an email. TNT@twit.tv is our email address, or you can call and tell us yourself, 260-TNT-SHOW. And of course, you can do all kinds of things on our website, like find our show notes at twit.tv/TNT. I'll be out tomorrow. I'm headed to BlizzCon, but Julio Ojeda Zapata from the Minneapolis Star Tribune will be here. We'll see you then.